We're just going to kind of do an intro by Garrett, and you can ask him questions. Feel free to unmute. You don't have to come off camera if you don't want to, or you can pop questions in the chat. And then Mary Chris and I will break down into the details of the program. Cool.
And Garrett, I should have asked you this before. Do you want a couple slides? Do you want the or are you good? Okay.
Sorry, I'm good.
Cool.
So welcome, Gabrielle, and those folks that are going to join us via the recording later. I'm Garrett Westlake. I'm the Associate Vice Provost for Innovation and Executive Director of the Da Vinci Center for Innovation. And what's really exciting for us at VCU, and then also specifically to Da Vinci, is that the Masters of Product Innovation really is the crown jewel. So this is a program that I know Allison, Mary Chris, myself, we all take really great pride in. And one of my favorite parts about this program is that we teach human-centered design, and that this is a small, intimate, executive style program. So we accept a small cohort of really diverse, from background, from experience, like across the board, a diverse group of students. And they go through this program in a cohort where they get to work on some of the most innovative projects with corporations and startups, and sometimes internal university partners. I was just on a call today with Caterpillar. I was on a call, I was in a training this morning with the VCU health system, and everyone is looking to deploy the skills and tools that we teach in this program in the real world. So like these things are going directly to be applied all across the country. So obviously, we're also excited that VCU just made it into the top 20 of most innovative public universities. So that is something that I think speaks to sort of the ecosystem surrounding the program. I think not only do we have a strong program, but the innovation ecosystem which supports the program is also super strong. And I think that as part of that, we are looking at, and you'll see this as we talk about the program, but this intersection of academic, experiential, and experimental, and really trying to do all three of those things in the MPI program. So not only do you get a really strong foundational academic core, but you get a set of experiences that really set you apart because you've walked the walk. And then we are going to introduce what we think are the most emergent sort of developing topics in the space. And, we did that 2 years ago when we launched the Shift Retail Lab. And that at the time was a honorable mention as a world-changing idea by Fast Company magazine. And then the curriculum that we built to support that physical space just won the outright Innovation by Design award from Fast Company this year. And we were up with companies like the North Face Company and Canva and Fig, like other big tech firms. So I think it really speaks to what we are trying to do at that intersection of experiential and academic and experimental. And a sneak peek about what's coming is that Shift Retail Lab has been so successful that we're expanding that to be Shift Labs. And we're really going to look at Shift Retail Lab being one offering in a larger set of Shift Labs that will all serve to foster our curriculum and our student experiences in new ways. And so you might see things related to healthcare or food or a collaboratory or other items as part of Shift Labs that are going to hopefully get built out over the course of this next cohort's tenure in the program. So I'll stop talking there. I get super excited about all the things we do. I could do a bunch of talking about it. But I do want you to have a chance, Gabrielle, if you want, to ask me any questions. And then, like Allison said, she and Mary Chris are going to walk through some of the nuts and bolts of the program and how the curriculum works and the courses and all of that kind of stuff. But I will pause there and answer any questions you may have.
I apologize. I'm driving and listening as you guys are talking. But what kind of drew me to the program was the combination of the arts with business and all of those things kind of meshing together. Do you feel like this would be a program that would be worth considering for someone that has like a fashion background, but is really interested in like a digital marketing or even a tech slant?
Yes, that's an easy one, Gabrielle. I think, we were just earlier this year, I had a chance to go to VCU's campus in Doha. So I went over to Qatar and VCU Arts has a campus over there, and they were really interested, particularly as it relates to fashion and technology, about maybe even having like a shift retail lab over in Doha. And I visited some like new spaces that are being developed that are really at that intersection of fashion and technology and the arts and what those sustainable business models look like. So there has been a number of fashion-oriented startups that have come through the Shift Retail Lab. We've worked with some community groups that are doing really interesting things. I don't know if you've followed No Limits, but they were a startup based here in Richmond that was supporting individuals with disabilities that, maybe had some different, needs as far as clothing because they had amputations or they had other, physical differences that require different clothing. And so I've worked with that startup in town to do some really interesting spaces from a startup formation piece. So you're speaking our language. Like that is like, those mashups are exactly what I think we are here for, which differentiate us from like, say, a more traditional like MBA program where I want to go do business. And maybe you want to do business in a certain way, but like we really are that from the ground up mashup of those different disciplines that you can take where you want.
Yeah, I think of Perry Lee, who's currently in our program, who's about to graduate this fall. He came in with a background in fashion, and he was really looking for lots of ways to incorporate that with sustainability. And he ended up finding a technology through our tech transfer office that is basically like a coating you can apply to clothing that will help make it antimicrobial. And so how that fits into how we experience clothing, how we experience fashion was kind of his focus for the primary part of his capstone. But yeah, we meet students where they are from all different backgrounds and help them move forward. So building a network in that space. I know I have an international network in terms of fashion, just the beauty industry in general, and happy to make that's what we do. We make those introductions for our students to make sure you can get what you need. And then we also figure out what kind of gaps we can help fill by looking to our fashion department here. Are there resources that we can help find? Are there courses that you could potentially take throughout your experience as electives and those kinds of things? So yes, you are speaking our language. We get very excited.
That sounds exactly what I've been looking for. So I'm very excited.
The business piece of it is certainly there. We have a new visionary in residence. She's the founder of Lip Love Line. She is teaching a course this semester on building your brand narrative. And then next semester, she's likely going to be teaching a class on crowdfunding. So how do you build with your brand narrative all of the things that you need to build in order to launch a Kickstarter to get the funding you need without having to give up any of your equity? Yeah, she's a badass. Excellent.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions, Gabrielle? Any other questions for me?
No, I'm just interested to learn a little bit more about the program as a whole. I keep kind of getting pushed in this direction from everyone that I've talked to, so I feel like this is probably a good fit. Hopefully, so just excited to a little bit more of it.
Cool. Well, drive safely. We can give you all kinds of other information.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have anything afterwards, Gabrielle, that Allison or MC feel like is a good question for me or something you just want to ask me, feel free to shoot me an email. We'll make sure that you can get my contact info, but absolutely reach out to me at any point and ask questions. That's what this is all about. We do this program this way because we enjoy spending time with students, perspective or otherwise. And so as you have questions, as you want to workshop stuff, that's what we're here for. That's what we enjoy doing. So I'm going to leave you all. Allison and Mary Chris are going to give you more of those details, but it was good to meet you and have fun tonight.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you.
Cool. All right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And Gabrielle, I know you're driving, so we do send these slides out with the recording afterwards. So no worries if it's hard to sort of watch the slides. It just kind of helps us stay on track. And we do have some visuals about sort of how the classes space out. But I'll really quickly skip through these first two because Garrett talked all about this, but a nice visual here about how we're trying to live in the middle of that academic, experiential, and experimental Venn diagram. And also just some nice design aspirations here, which I really just like to highlight that I love that we have these as aspirations. So we are constantly growing and evolving as a center, and we are trying our best to be all of these things, and these are our guiding light, but we are always growing and changing. And so I just like that we're using that terminology, and that is what we encourage in our students, is that constant lifelong learning and growing and changing. And then also we just have a nice slide here about our newly won award from Fast Company that we're really excited about. So again, Garrett talked about that. I will not spend a ton of time on it. We can jump into the details. Allison, do you want to chat about kind of our academic programs overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Allison Schumacher. I'm the director of academic alchemy for the center. So I run our new academic programs alongside Mary Chris, and create new ones and all kinds of things. But in general, if you don't know what the Da Vinci Center is, we bring together arts, business, engineering, humanities and sciences, medical to solve real world problems. And one way we do that is through academic programs, mainly in product innovation and venture creation. On the product innovation side, we bring in problems from industry, from local nonprofits, local startups, those kinds of things. They identify a problem they're trying to solve, and we put a cross-disciplinary team together to work on solving that. The venture creation side, we're bringing problems in from students, master's students, undergraduate students, even our community members, to help them build a venture. So starting from a problem that they have identified and then building that up. I'd say that's probably the key difference, but all of our programs are rooted in cross-disciplinary education. So if you're not from the arts, you're taking courses in business and technology, lots of electives and various other things that we will get into in a moment. But everything is rooted in human-centered design. So we are always starting from the user, using user-centric data, talking to customers, so that we know we're solving problems that humans actually experience, and so that this thing can be real and go out and live in the world. So at the undergraduate level, we have a baccalaureate certificate in product innovation, another one in venture creation, and then we also teach courses in human-centered design to kind of spread that kind of mindset to other students at the university. And then on the graduate level, we do the Master of Product Innovation program while you're here, and also do the graduate certificate in healthcare innovation. Next slide, there we go. Okay, so a little bit more detail about those graduate programs, since that's why people are tuning in. So the Master of Product Innovation is written really to be a 13 to 18-month program. We do have students who complete it on a part-time basis, and we'll go a little bit more into detail of what that looks like, but generally about 6 credits a semester, and it takes about 2 years to complete. Like I said, everything we do is cross-disciplinary, so we are always looking through the lens of, the business person, the artist designer, the technology or engineer, in order to see all of those perspectives, learn their languages, so that whether we want to start our own business, we can kind of get a feel for who we want on our team and what problem we really need to solve and whose expertise we need. Or if we want to go out and work in industry and be more of a intrapreneur, then we know how to speak to the different departments and the different groups that we're likely going to have to work with if we're in the product space. So you really can't sell a product without the business department, marketing, or manufacturing and engineering. So we have to be able to speak those languages and understand how each group solves problems. And that's what really makes our students unicorns, because they have that communicative ability and that ability to think through problem solving in a lot of different ways. We're doing more advanced product innovation than we would in our undergraduate situations, our undergraduate certificate. So we would give more challenging, more messy problems in our project courses. We provide even out of the classroom experiences for people to be able to do more problem solving and build their portfolios, just kind of based on time and ability. And the Master of Product Innovation program really does bring out the entrepreneurship piece. That is a mindset. It is not a checklist. There's no just set of things that you finish and voila, you are a successful entrepreneur. There are a lot of moving pieces that go with that. But if you can learn the methods and the processes of entrepreneurship, you can do absolutely anything. It's really just about how to see problems in the world and then having the confidence and the methodologies to go out and work to solve them. The graduate certificate in healthcare innovation, pretty cool. In that it can ride right alongside the Master of Product Innovation program, given that it is a part of it is the Master of Product Innovation program. So this is a 12 credit hour certificate that you only need a baccalaureate degree or bachelor's degree to enter. And so it's 12 credits from the Master of Product Innovation and 12 credits from the Nursing Leadership program over in the School of Nursing. So it's this lovely partnership where we get to help people who are interested in product but want to make an impact in the medical field, but don't know the regulations, the safety. How do you even get a product into a health system? You know, how do you even get approved for human use? All those kinds of things. Or having care providers who see the problems in healthcare every single day, but don't know how to move those ideas forward and work to solve them. So those groups together give us that cross-disciplinary magic to really share that knowledge and give a basis for how that process happens and how we actually kick that off. Also cross-disciplinary. And then if you wanted to do both of these things, so if you're interested in product development and the healthcare field, you can complete that program with the MPI at no additional cost. Your 6 credits in nursing go right into your 6 credits required for your electives in the MPI. Okay, so sequence of courses. Now, for anybody listening, Gabrielle, since you're driving, this might be a lot, so you can come back and watch it later and see our slides here. But I'm going to go through the initial full-time summer start, how the program was originally written and can be done in 13 months. Okay, let me get a sip of tea here so that I can break into it. Okay, so looking at summer of 2024, students generally come in 6 credits. If you want to be full-time for a graduate student is 9 credits, but you only need 5 credits as a graduate student to receive federal aid. So 6 credits is still enough to be able to get that support. But if you want to take 9 credits in the summer, you can too. It's just kind of above and beyond what's necessary. But 600 or 610, we're going to talk a lot in numbers here. We don't have names of these courses up here, but we'll give you an idea of what they are. So 600 is Integrative Design Studio, which is where we take all of our students who are interested in going to Portugal for about 3 weeks to engage in the European Innovation Academy. We go from idea to pitching to investors in just that 3 weeks. So especially anybody who's interested in being an entrepreneur, it gives a really great breadth of knowledge of how to do that, all the stages that go into that. We can't really go deep in just 3 weeks. That's pretty challenging, but you get to see the fast pace and the flexibility that a startup can have, and you get to develop a network with investors, people from Google and Twitter and Amazon and well, actually, I should say X. I need to replace the word Twitter in there. But we have representatives from virtually any large company, especially like from Silicon Valley, that show up there, and they are giving presentations and talking about the work that they do and how they do it. All of our students reach out to them. Those people are also mentors in the classroom, so you get to engage with them and ask them questions and build your network essentially, because goodness knows you should be adding every single person that you meet there to your network so you can reach out later. And there's over 50,000 students that have gone through the EIA program. And so if later on you have a company and you're developing a tech product and you need a full stack developer, you can reach out to that group of people and know that they have been, one, vetted by EIA, but they've been through some pretty tough experiences and get to, and you already have something in common. So maybe you find a good match within that group, but it's a heck of a network to be a part of. If you work full time, or maybe international students having trouble getting visas to be able to travel to another country and study in the United States, which has been a challenge in the past, we do offer a course in 0610 here in the States. It's virtual, that you can go in and get several different internationally recognized certifications in design thinking, in change management, that kind of allow you to immerse yourself in the human-centered design experience. We're also in the process of developing another course that will likely have more of that, I guess, intercultural experience, but that one won't launch until 2024. So we'll see fall of 2024 when that one comes up. We're hoping for summer, but we'll see. But that would also be virtual and here in the United States. We just really want to push that intercultural skill development within this program. But right now we have two options. The INO 691s. This is, I'm not going to go too far into this because I am a long talker, and there are lots of options on our website that you can see which ones are available. So we have 691s. We also have 591s. And what these are called are topics courses. This is where we fill the gaps. So we are, you know, I'm talking to students and faculty and trying to find out what are those cutting edge things, what are those gaps that you feel like is missing out of your experience that you would like to have. So, you know, 2019 to 2020, that academic year, we offered 7 courses that were open to everyone. And in 22-23, we offered 41. So this semester, we have everything from how to find a job to designing your life, using design thinking to envision what your future might look like, to the personal implications of ChatGPT, and building that brand story, all kinds of things that we're offering to everyone at the university so they can tap in and earn these credits. So there are 1 credit courses that you can kind of put together to get what you like. We also have 3 credit courses that can work as those electives. Now, looking at the fall semester, 501 is the arts and design course, 502 is the business course, 503 is the technology and engineering course, and 590 is a course that I teach called Da Vinci Project. These 4 courses are really focusing on those fundamentals of you know, how as a working professional can you use all of those different backgrounds or different problem-solving methodologies and understand how you're going to apply those skills to the project you're working on in 590. But the fall semester is about industry. We're exploring different types of jobs that exist out in industry with guest speakers and various other things, but ultimately building that core set of methodologies, of experiences, of knowledge that you're going to need in order to move forward with the more entrepreneurial side of things. So when you, in spring, you jump into 651, which is the first half of the 2-part capstone. So your capstone is 12 credits. So it's 12 out of 30 to 33 credits of your master's. So it's a lot of your master's. So this 6 credit class is where either you bring in an idea, you partner with another MPI or another individual, can be inside or outside the university. That's fine. They just can't come to class if they're not in the program. You can use technology from our tech transfer office that we bring forward, but basically you are proposing an idea to move it forward towards commercialization. So if you have an existing product, an existing business, it makes a whole lot of sense that you're going to bring that into the capstone, that we can meet you where you are, understand where you are in your development, and then you set your goals based on where you are in order to move you faster towards the commercialization or towards those goals by the end of the semester. If it's a brand new idea, you start in a different place. But again, we're meeting you where you are and helping you move forward using those skills that you've learned over the summer and fall. And then in the summer, you get 652, which is the second half of the capstone. And there are 3 main ways that you finish that capstone. You can take the business that you developed in the spring and move that forward and actually launch your LLC and form that business and put it out into the world, likely developing a Kickstarter campaign. Just kind of depends on what kind of product or business you're working with. But ultimately, the goal is to go out and get a product into the world and make it real. The second option is to have a job or do an internship in the product space, to where you are working full time in the product space, and we are helping you manage up. We are helping you understand what you're going through at your job. If it's something you're like, oh my goodness, this is not the space I want to be in, we can help give you new network connections so you can learn from people who are doing other things in the product space, and we can help you move forward to find the right space that's a good fit for you. Hopefully we already know it by that point through our mentor meetings and those kinds of things, but there are definitely cases where people are like, I really thought I wanted to do this, and whoa, I don't. I'm going to finish it, but like, let's look for some other things so I can go out and win that job after I graduate. And then the third option is to do a more traditional master's thesis, which Very few people are even interested in coming into the program, but very few use that to finish the program because we are an applied program. But if you want to do a PhD later and you really want to dive deep in a topic of innovation or entrepreneurship, that is absolutely a viable way to be able to complete this program. So, Mary Chris, you want to explain a little bit more about the part-time?
Yeah, definitely. As Allison mentioned, what we've got up here is our summer start, which is kind of what we're focusing on right now because the deadline coming up the soonest is for our summer program that will start in May 2024. There's an early deadline of December 15th and then a regular deadline of February 15th. We'll talk more about those at the end. But you do have an option to start full-time in the fall as well. So if for some reason you're like, I definitely want to do this full-time, but you know summer is not going to work for you. Often this happens if someone is maybe just finishing undergrad and they're like, wow, I would really like to not roll out of my May classes and right into my graduate program. I'd like to take a summer, catch my breath a little bit. So if students are interested in starting in the fall, absolutely, that is something that they can do. And I'm just broken down here on this slide exactly what those same classes look like in a fall start, which essentially just means that you're taking that INNO 600, which is the European Innovation Academy or EIA experience, or that 610 course. You're taking them kind of in the middle toward the end instead of at the very beginning of the program. And there's no right or wrong way to do that. The EIA experience is different, depending on whether you do it at the beginning or the middle. Obviously, you're coming into that with a lot of experience if you're coming in the middle, but it certainly can be done that way. And so I just wanted to show this one slide of how it looks if you go full-time but start in the fall. And if you see our program talked about as a full-time 13 to 16-month program, like that's where that difference comes in, is like where you, or 13 to 18 months, that difference comes in whether you start in the summer or the fall. We also occasionally have students start with us in the summer and still decide that they would prefer to finish in the fall. 13 months can sound like a long time, but it goes really quickly. And so sometimes we have students, in fact, we have several who are graduating in December who just decided that they really needed to take that summer and either work on kind of moving their final project forward in a not-for-credit way, or work for the summer to earn a little extra money, or just take a break from academics. And so you can start in the summer and finish the next summer, or you can start in the summer and finish in the following fall. You always have that option. There's also some flexibility within this full-time, depending on whether you travel to EIA or not. So students who are not wanting to travel to Portugal can even start in the fall and finish in the summer. But we can't have you taking that in 0652, second half of your capstone at the same time that you're in Portugal. So this is really just to demonstrate that there's flexibility in that, and to also kind of explain that that's why we talk in 13 to 18 months as a full-time program, because you've got some variability there in what you decide. If you decide that you would like to go part-time, what's really great about our program is because it's an accelerated full-time program, if you would like to go part-time, it really takes 2 years, which if you think about a traditional 60 credit master's program that you would maybe complete full-time, that is going to take 4 years on the 6 credits per semester timeline. And so what's really nice about ours is in 2 years, you've finished the program. We do recommend, if you're thinking part-time, we recommend the 6 credits a semester. And the primary reason for that is because of that 501, 502, 503, 590. So that arts, business, engineering project sequence, those courses are only offered in the fall. And if you kind of did something where you tried to take like one every semester, you're just going to end up with like all these blank spaces that you don't have room for. And it's easier if you can commit to the 6 credits a semester, which most people find very doable with full-time work. And there's some flexibility in there that you see. You need 6 credits of electives total. And so usually if you're going on a part-time schedule, you end up with kind of one lighter semester in there where you're just not having that much that you need to take. So one other thing that I will mention here is with the elective credits, we offer a number of things at Da Vinci. As Allison mentioned, we are our offerings are always increasing. They're driven by what students want. But if there is something that you're really interested in that we don't offer, you can choose to take those electives with another department at the university, and we can help you figure that out. We have an option for you to write an independent study. So if there's just something that you want to do a deep dive on research, or we've even had students use that to do 2 different kinds of internships. They'll do an independent study with a small startup and then do an internship at a larger company for their 652 to finish out the program. So lots of flexibility in those electives in what we offer, but also in helping you take courses in other departments as well. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea what that looks like. And we also want to just talk through some of the perks and resources for MPI students. We'll kind of both talk through these.
This is the fun part.
Yes, this is the fun part, but I'll kick it off just because we've already mentioned it. So all students have access to our undergrads, our MPIs, and honestly, all students at VCU, as well as alumni and some community members. Everyone has access to Shift Retail Lab, but you are literally right there as an MPI student. And so we are really wanting students to make use of that space to test out products. We've had really inventive things. We had some students run almost like a cafe music experience out of it to test that out, where they sort of turned it into what I would call like a coffee shop vibe and had acoustic music. We had a student who wanted to prototype doing an Iranian cultural festival, and she totally transformed the room and had food from her culture and video screens showing kind of things that might not be what we think the landscape in Iran looks like, and she had music. So it's just a really unique space. We're going to do an in-person info session, kind of meet and greet in November, and so we're going to be sending that out to anyone who's interested and has let us know they're interested in the program, because we would love you to come see that space. It's one of those things that's fun to talk about, but I think you really get a better feel for it when you experience it.
Agreed. So we'll just jump back and forth here. That's
yep.
Okay. So the one of the things that's been consistent throughout the program is this $1,000 that students get to be able to support your time in the program. We call it capstone funding because generally or historically, students have used it as more of prototyping, or being able to buy the right software that they need. So things to be able to help move their product forward. Some people use it for focus groups and those kinds of things. Mary Chris, I'm gonna hand it right back to you. My doorbell just rang and so the puppy's gonna bark.
All right, no problem. So yes, you've got that funding that everyone gets. You can, as Allison was mentioning, you can use it for prototyping, helping with marketing materials. We had a student a couple semesters ago who was running a Kickstarter for his jackfruit jerky, and he used some of that money to have someone help him with graphics for a logo design and that kind of thing. So and packaging design. So all kinds of things you can do with that. We also have touched on this a little bit, but want to be really intentional about mentioning the mentorship piece of the program. And so students are assigned a rotating group of mentors. Allison and Garrett are both mentors, as well as a couple of our other faculty members. And there's the requirement that everyone in the program meet with their mentor at least once a month. And during your time in the program, you rotate through all 4 mentors. You also have access to those mentors way more than once a month if you would like to. But we want to make sure that you are connecting with folks on our team, talking through, how it is you think you want to finish the program, whether that's an internship or by developing a product or starting your own business. And so we want to have those conversations, even if you don't come in knowing perfectly immediately what you want to do. We want to start those conversations, help you develop your network, and help you have a structured way to think those things through. So those mentors can help you make connections in the community. We also, try to do some events each semester, getting students in front of people who are on our advisory board or our angel board that supports student ventures. So really trying to connect you to the community. Another thing that we provide kind of on the financial side is fellowship, scholarship, and GA support. So GA would be graduate assistantships. So these are the ways that we are trying to help kind of offset the cost of the program for students. Fellowships are an option to apply for a $10,000 fellowship. which sort of acts very similar to a scholarship as far as, it helps with your tuition cost, but this allows you to do a deep dive in an area that you're interested in. So students apply to these fellowships saying, hey, I'm really interested in AI and new technology, and here's what I want to figure out about that. I'm really interested in sustainable fashion, and I want to learn more about that. So students put together a plan, apply for these fellowships, and we're typically able to select somewhere between 4 and 5 students. It kind of depends on the funding each year, but to get that support of $10,000 toward overall tuition. Those are available to all full-time students who are going through our program. We do have some scholarships from donors to our program. Those kind of vary year in, year out, depending on what our budget and finances look like, but we absolutely, make those available to students to apply for. And then graduate assistant support is basically hourly wages that we pay students about 20 hours a week to support the work of the center. And we try to do that in a way that also feels like you gaining some skills that you would like as well. So we look at what students are bringing into the program, what skills they want to gain, and then try to match you up with places that we have needs that students can help fulfill. A lot of those GAs do work with Shift Retail Lab, with scheduling other student workers, scheduling events, programming events, working with the students who are coming in and putting their ideas on the shelves, which we call our shelfies, but working with those cohorts of shelfies. So the GA support is really there as a way to hopefully give you some money to offset living costs. So that comes in the form of hourly wages for students who are working for us. All VCU students have free Adobe Creative Cloud access, which is pretty cool. And it saves you quite a bit of money. And so just by being a student at VCU, you have that access, and it is something that we do use in some of our classes. So you get a chance to really dive in and get some experience with that hands-on. We have a makerspace. So we are located in 2 different places on campus. We have a space that is kind of in the heart of campus that is over like kind of near Monroe Park, near the Student Commons. And we have 3D printers and laser cutters and sewing machines and woodshop tools. And that is available to students. We have another student, a graduate assistant, who trains students in how to use that space. There's also just space in there that you can have meetings. There's a conference room with a television. There's just kind of informal meeting space. So that is open only to our undergrad and graduate students who are enrolled in our programs. You have 24/7 swipe access. So if you want to come in on the weekends and use the laser cutter or use the sewing machine, and I mean, yes, you can use this for prototyping, but if you also are like, I need to mend a pair of pants, like you could come in and use our sewing machine. Like it's totally fine. It's just a space that's there for students. I know one of our GAs that I worked closely with had a number of weddings, and she made a lot of engraved cheese boards on the laser cutter. It was a great gift as a grad student to give to all of her friends that were getting married. So we're totally fine with that. And then our other space on campus is over where Shift Retail Lab is on Broad Street. Our classrooms are all there. We have some offices in that space, and we have a conference room and some student workspace in that space as well. That's really great for meeting right before class and things like that. So right now we have what we call our north and south spaces on kind of 2 different ends of campus. And then also just a final note here, we do have a relationship with College of Engineering, and they have a lot of maker spaces and also some pretty amazing training that you can get on equipment that we don't have. And so that is something that we can support students on if they want to do a really deep dive in prototyping. And I don't even remember using, like, what is it, like a water saw, Alice, like all kinds of things.
You can do everything from just like how to use drills. You have to start in that place. So it is a stepped program, but you do everything from like just using basic hand tools all the way up to cutting metal with water. There's a hydra drill or a hydra. It's kind of like a laser cutter, hydra cutter. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so cool to be able to know that. I did not know that was a possibility before College of Engineering introduced me to that.
Yeah, so we can help make those connections as well.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, and we're kind of almost at the end here, so we'll have plenty of time for questions. We just have a quick slide here for how to apply with a little bit of a screenshot. Basically, the thing I just want to make everyone aware of is I think there are still maybe some 2023 like applications that we've kind of been in transition on like where applications are. So just make sure that you are, when you're on the page to apply, which you can get to through our website, that you are filling out the application for all other graduate programs and that you're looking for those 2024 terms is what you would be applying for either summer 24 or fall 24 are both up now. I was trying to think which, and actually I'm going to take that back. I believe our summer application is up right now. Our fall application will not pop onto that website until December 16th, because again, we're really encouraging those December 15th summer applications. And I'll just go ahead and mention, if you're wanting to apply by that December 15th deadline, here's some things that we're looking for, but what that gets you essentially with that early admission, we will have you in our first group of students that we take through an interview. So once we get applications, the next step is a group interview process, and students who apply by that December 15th will go through the earliest round of that. It doesn't always seem so early because that December 15th deadline hits right before the university closes for winter break, but we will be interviewing students who apply by that deadline as early as we possibly can in January when we're kind of all back on campus. So the idea is to hopefully get some decisions out in February, so you just know early on that you've been accepted. And that also typically means that you're the first to hear about scholarships and that kind of thing because you're the first ones to be accepted to the program.
And you make the list before it fills with all of the people, because we generally only accept about 15 to 20 students each semester.
Yeah, exactly. So just
each year,
but it just assures that you get your place on that. So we're really trying to encourage that December 15th deadline. Just to run through this quickly, and then I think Allison will have a couple examples of some student projects that she can give. But what we need is your statement of intent, and there's some prompts in the application to give you some ideas to get you started on that. But just what is making you interested in this program specifically, why you want to pursue interdisciplinary education, kind of what your plans and goals are as you see them now. We need a resume. You'll need to provide the names and emails of 3 references. Their letters can come in at a later date, but to be able to click submit on the application, you're going to have to provide those names. And then you have to enter a transcript request in the system to get your undergrad transcripts. I will also just note, if your undergraduate is at VCU, you have to put that request in, but there's no charge. Like the graduate school can pull your transcript from VCU. We do have an optional portfolio for all students. So way back in the past, we required standardized testing for students who are not coming from an arts background and portfolios for students coming from an arts and design background. We no longer require standardized testing, and therefore we no longer require a portfolio, but we are encouraging all students, no matter the background, to submit a portfolio. And that can look like a website where you showcase some of your work. That can look like a PDF that you've put together. We're finding more and more students do have sort of online portfolios that showcase projects they've done, places they've worked, some unique things about their personality. So if you have that, amazing. If you don't, and would like to pull together just kind of a statement about yourself and some examples of work, that can be work in the fashion field or the art and design field. We've also had students submit things that they created, in their workplace, like programs and processes they created. We've had people submit, music that they wrote, writing samples. We would just like to kind of get to know who you are as a person. So again, not required, but we love to see it and love to have that additional insight into who our students are. Cool. So that is all we have kind of in our official program. Allison, do you want to share a couple little project examples, and then we're happy to take questions.
I was like, why is this so much shorter than the other one? I was like, oh, because I didn't go on and on about 590. We've talked a little bit about, the types of projects you can do in the capstone class, but I want to talk a little bit more about some of the projects that we bring into the program so that students have had access to work on them. So this semester, just in my 590 course, the Da Vinci project course, we have a huge group of students who is in there right now, and we have 6 projects that people are working on. Everything from helping to work on small business development for Brown Ballerinas for Change. You might be familiar with that organization if you happen to see the wonderful pictures of the women on point on the New York Times cover, just from when we were going through all of the protests after George Floyd's murder. They just were taking these beautiful images and decided to start an entire organization in order to encourage our BIPOC communities to be part of performance arts, deeper ingrained into performance arts. We are working with a company to work on continuing education, curriculum development to help train people on hyperhidrosis, which is excessive sweating. That's kind of odd. Working on a compression garment for people who have undergone facial surgeries that is easy to take on and off, that helps prevent a hematoma from forming, or from, if it's too tight, it can cause the skin to necrosize. So we're trying to figure out what that balance looks like, especially whenever, people have different shapes of heads and faces and where their ears are located and all those things. We're working on a physical solution to help bilateral amputees be able to move from their cars to their other mode of transportation, whether it be a wheelchair or a motorized vehicle. As our veterans age, that process of moving from your vehicle into your other mode of transportation can be a challenge. And so we are working with the VA in order to solve that. So those are some of the current projects we're working on. But in the past, there are some really fun ones. And one of my favorite ones, I think, does a really great job of illustrating what we do at the Da Vinci Center. And it's got a very direct and I guess just obvious subject to it, but it's just called narcotic waste management, which doesn't sound very exciting. But when I tell you how we approached it versus how others are approaching it, I think it gives a good idea of this mindset that we've mentioned. So the problem being, we had Danny Mallory, a nurse at our health system, identified that, hey, like all these outpatients coming out of surgery, they need pain medication. But we give them 100 milliliter cartridges, and whether that patient uses 99 milliliters or 1 milliliter, they are charged for the entire cartridge. And then that whatever's left has to be disposed of. So that can be problematic, right? That can be very expensive for a patient. There's a lot of really expensive medication that is going to waste. So we had an idea. It's like, well, what if there was a valve that we could put into the IV that's a one-way valve? So no fluids would be transferred between patient to patient, but we would be able to move that cartridge to a second patient. So that way the patient would only be charged for the number of milliliters that they are actually using, and no medication would go to waste. So the College of Engineering picked that up. I was kind of unaware, so it was a little odd that we both picked up the same project at the same time, but they are still working on that in their biomedical engineering program. And they are trying to make sure that it's 100% fail safe and that a solution can make it through FDA and those kinds of things, because they get a problem, they work to solve that problem. We kind of look at problems a little differently to make sure that we're solving the right problem. So we put a team of students on this project, and instead of working directly with the potential solution of a valve, we said, how might we reduce the number or reduce the waste of narcotics in the hospital to benefit the patients and the hospital system? So our student group got together, they started reaching out to leadership in the hospital. They were able to acquire data for one unit in the hospital to better understand how much of this narcotic that patients were using on average. Turns out it's about 37 milliliters. So nowhere close to 100. And so that just gives us an idea of, where we might be able to cut down waste. The students looked at the equipment in the hospital, understanding that health systems aren't likely to go out and purchase a bunch of new equipment in order to accommodate a new solution. That is a huge procurement effort. So they looked at the existing machines and existing products on the market, and lo and behold, there is a 50 milliliter cartridge that procurement could immediately start buying and providing to patients. And, there was some pushback, understanding like, well, we want to make sure the patient never runs out and those kinds of things. And so far that hasn't been an issue to my knowledge. But the important part about this is that just by changing a process, just by recognizing that there was a problem of waste, not completely solving it, but finding a way to reduce waste, The students found for this one unit that they could reduce costs for the hospital by $700,000 a year and reduce costs to the patient by $1.2 million per year. That's pretty darn impactful just by zooming out. And that is part of developing how might we statements and those kinds of things are part of the design thinking process. So anyway, we do solve a lot of medical solutions. We've had a lot of things patented. We've had students develop their own businesses with the sponsors that they work with on these teams and go out and win things like Mass Challenge Accelerator and develop things. But we do a lot of stuff outside of the medical field as well. Anything that can be considered in the product space, from small business development to a really specific product. Actually, one of them we're working on is pretty cool. This semester that I forgot to mention, it is about 93% of people or Americans have a smart device, a cell phone or a tablet with them while they are also watching TV. And so this particular product is renamed, it's called Rally, which would create an environment through your phone that allows you to have more of a stadium-like experience for things like college basketball or college sports. So you could be watching on TV and be able to engage with the audience, maybe through the big screens that are in the stadium, or with a community that is both in the stadium and just in this online space. So our students are, figuring out what that looks like and then building the initial partnership so that this sponsor can go out and make the pitch, get the funding that he needs in order to fully develop whatever this turns out to be, whether it's an application or a website or a social media platform. So lots of different things, but we got to talk to users first to kind of figure out what they actually want before we go out and build it. So yeah, some really cool stuff. Heck, that could be used for like reality TV. I mean, beyond just if we have people here who aren't necessarily into sports or don't want to watch sports, that could be used for that too, or lots of other different specific interests that people have. So anyway, I will stop talking. I will see if Gabrielle has any questions. And if anyone on the recording here has any questions for us, Mary Chris is going to bring up a slide that has our contact information and our website there. Yes, people actually check this email account and those messages will get to us. So we can reach out. They just kind of help funnel it to the right people. But feel free to reach out to us and ask those questions. We are more than happy to meet separately to answer them, or we may hold a Q&A session at some point if we get enough questions that we can record that and put that out into the world. But Gabrielle, hopefully you have either reached your destination safely or you're still driving. I'm not sure.
I'm safe. I'm stopped and
Okay.
listening.
Okay, excellent. Did you think of it? Do you have any questions about the stuff Mary and Chris and I talked about?
I am mostly digesting, but
A lot.
I guess the question that I have, and you may have answered it, but I might have missed it. For the capstones, you are working with other people to work on your own idea, or are you able to work on your own idea by yourself? I don't think
Yes, the answer is yes. You can work on your own idea by yourself and propose that and work solo, and then later figure out what kind of teammates you have. If, let's say, you came in and you didn't have an idea, but you really like the idea of someone else in your cohort, you can go in on a team. Goals will be bigger. What we're trying to build in terms of gains will be bigger with multiple people on a team. But absolutely, you can also borrow technology from our tech transfer system and be able to try to work that towards commercialization, either alone or with a partner. You can we've had students who have worked with friends in other cities on their project, but the main rule is that partner who lives in New York City can't attend class because they're not in the program. So the tuition, to be fair for the students who are paying for it. But you can work with people who are outside of the program on the project. They just can't attend class, but they can see the resources that you see and have conversations as a group with your faculty and those kinds of things. So yeah, we don't require that people are coming in with an idea. Part of the fall semester, especially if you're full-time, is to go to individual mentor meetings, kind of talk through different ideas you have, and we can help you make sure that it's going to be a viable proposal for a 15-week semester, because we have students who have a lot of really good ideas, but they're so big that we have to kind of narrow it down to start in a smaller place to where we can actually make progress in one semester, right? And then we can build upon that and make it a little bit more nebulous later on. But yeah, some ideas won't be viable for a 15-week semester, but lots of them are, and we help with that out throughout multiple months. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess the last question I had is, have you ever had any full-time staff or faculty participate in this program?
Yes, we have several right now.
Okay.
I think I have 3 in my class right now. Yeah, Susan, Chevy. No, I have at least 2. Yeah. Mary Chris, did you want to elaborate a little bit more on that? Do you
Definitely.
work with you, Gabrielle?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Mary Chris has that info.
Yeah, we definitely do. And typically, if they're working full time, they go part time. I would definitely want to talk with you about kind of maximizing the VCU tuition benefit. So our program does have, we're on a little bit of a different tuition schedule than just kind of standard graduate classes. And that is because we are an accelerated program. So there's some benefit to you to actually starting to take classes with us as a non-degree seeking student. I don't know if you've done that before, but it's a pretty quick form that you fill out. And we've worked with other folks in this way. You just pay a little bit less tuition. So if you start it with us as a non-degree seeking student, your tuition benefit from VCU is going to cover all the tuition. Once you are a fully admitted student, that math changes, and the full tuition is charged, and your benefit is still going to cover a really good portion of it, a little bit more than half of it, but you are going to need to come out of pocket for some of the tuition. So with people that are VCU employees that are interested in attending the program, I'm happy to follow up by email or set up another meeting with you, but we usually recommend, I believe the number is you can take up to 12 credits now as a non-degree seeking student. So we would look at that part-time schedule and have you taking all the right classes that are going to transfer in, but have you do that at a non-degree seeking status so that you save money on the program overall. Does that make sense? That is one of the more confusing tuition structures, but the answer is yes, we do have employees. We do want to work with you to help get the most out of your tuition benefit, because once you are fully admitted in the program, that's going to cover just a little more than half of the tuition.
Okay, yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I'm very familiar with how crazy the tuition benefit is.
It's also
I would love to talk about it a little bit more and kind of learn from you how it would work for this program.
Yes, definitely.
It's also important to note that the fellowships we offer have been restricted. So full-time employees are not eligible for our fellowships, but generally our part-time students aren't eligible for our fellowships either. So it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we were glad when they kind of the amount of non-degree seeking credits that you can transfer in changed recently from 6 to 12. And so that ends up actually helping students who are VCU employees quite a bit with our program, because we're only a 30 credit program. So you can get almost half of it entirely paid for, and then needing to come out of pocket or seek financial aid to help with some of the cost above the tuition benefit for a little bit more than the second half. But that change helped significantly in helping bring the cost down for VCU employees.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't think I have any more.
Great questions though.
Yeah,
that's excellent. We always want people to ask. I guarantee that more than one person watching this video afterwards is also going to have that question, or those questions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to everybody who chooses to tune in to this particular video. We are happy to have more conversations as needed, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. All right. See you later.
Bye.